Welcome to another episode of Alberta Stories. I'm your host, Todd Strickland. Today's episode is a story that brings up a lot of emotions for me. Anger, frustration, shock, tenderness, and family endurance. Really just so much. Benita and her daughter Angellete's story will move you. My hope is that it moves us to action. At the heart of the story is pain that went unhealed and turned into addiction in a battle back to mental and emotional well-being. The story is unique and yet one that's familiar in the Black community. Its familiarity is rooted in a legacy of trauma caused by over-policing and a war on drugs that targeted our communities. We invited Giovanni Shern to narrate this story. She founded Up and Over, a mentor program for youth. She sits on the advocacy committee at NAMI, Oregon's National Alliance for Mental Illness, and she also serves as vice chair for the Hospital Advisory Board. Take in Benita and Angellette's story. It's one of power, healing, and overcoming a traumatic past.
My name is Giovanni Shern, and I'm reading the story of Angellete Hamilton and Benita Presley. What stood out to me about their story is the mental health piece and the stigma with mental health, especially in the Black community. A couple of the things that I would like to see come out of this story is that the Black community be more comfortable with seeking out support for mental health issues, but also that we are more receptive when our loved ones need that support. There are many ways to facilitate generational trauma. One of the most effective is to not create institutions and support systems people need to treat it. On Alberta, where the buses didn't run past 9 p.m., street lights went out and took forever to be replaced, and the city seemingly refused to pick up garbage on the streets, it should come as no surprise that mental health services were virtually non-existent for the Black community. Instead, when people like Angellete Hamilton were growing up, they had to seek out makeshift refuges for support. To her, one of the most important has been Terrell Brandon's barbershop.
Your community is your family, and unfortunately we've lost a lot of those staples. So it is very fortunate that Terrell Brandon's shop is there because people go and get their hair cut, or they come and see Miss Denise, who's the manager there. Terrell Brandon's shop does a lot for the community. He holds food drives, coat drives, and has really been a staple for Blacks and Black men to go and socialize and talk about whatever struggles that they may have. And then most recently, North by Northeast is also there, and they're providing care for Black folks as well. Those connections that have been established for decades, and people are still able to come and socialize and just have some camaraderie amongst people that look like them, that think like them. We don't have that anymore, and so it's lost. So having these places where people can come together and feel safe are very important.
The shop, which opened in 1992, began making a name for itself around the same time that Hamilton was struggling to deal with her mother, Benita's drug addiction. Turning to wherever she could find support in the community, Angellete remembers making "Just Say No" signs at Wriggler and her grandmother seeing her marching on TV. She was only 9 years old when a friend revealed their mothers were sneaking off to smoke crack together. From there, things only spiraled more out of control. Angellete grew accustomed to running out of food, the lights going out increasingly often, and having to take care of her siblings while her mom was gone for weeks at a time.
You slowly see just the demise of a person. They lose their job, they lose their home, their dignity, their kids, anything that you can think that a person would need to just be able to be whole, it's taken away.
As Angellete turned to people in the community for support during those tough times, she had no idea that her mother was using drugs as a means to treat her own trauma. Benita Hamilton describes her mother as a raging alcoholic. As a child, she remembers being called to pick her up downtown because cabs refused. Her mother's antics eventually earned her and her sister the nickname the Twins. When she got older, a high school friend convinced her to try a pill she had bought from the area drug dealers so she could relax and study. Instead, she passed out, woke up to a man raping her, and then, to make a horrific situation worse, later found out she was pregnant. Scared and alone, she tried to hide it until it was too late to get an abortion. When she went into labor and was taken to OHSU, it only became more of a nightmare.
I wanted to call my stepmom so I could have somebody to hold my hand because it hurt really bad. They didn't hardly get anything for pain. They were just all white nurses, and they were just like, I could hear them talking in the hallway, and it wasn't anything supportive. It's like, well, she's a single mom. She probably doesn't even know who the dad is. So I started bleeding really bad. I had to get 98 stitches it wasn't an episiotomy. It was just, they let me rip. So, I just stood. I had to just lay there and take it, pretty much, withstand the pain.
The indifference Benita endured during her first experience with the white medical system led her to turn to self-medication to deal with her trauma. While there was certainly shame that came with the crack addiction, she actually felt more stigma around seeking out help with her mental health.
I know when I had my mental breakdown, they treated me worse than when I had the drug habit.
Nonetheless, Benita sought out therapy. She even brought her kids and gave them the opportunity to get whatever they needed to off their chest. Benita graduated from Project Network 21 years ago, a local cultural-specific dual diagnosis treatment program that provides wraparound services for women and children. Her work and passion for helping others has led her to partnering and working with agencies such as Self-Enhancement Inc., Healing Roots, Bradley Engel House, and Shellmeyer Unlimited. Now, Benita is a contracted peer-to-peer mentor specializing in life skills and behavioral health, working with the nonprofit Salome as a subject matter expert working with recovering addicts. Benita continues to be the voice for those that go unheard and that seek the journey in overcoming generational trauma.
Her presence is regal-like. When she steps into the NA room, they all call her Queen. She just loves to dress up, and she shares anything that she knows knowledge-wise or that would be positively impactful in someone's life. She shares that. She's a giver. She has a really enormous heart and a passion for also advocacy around domestic violence and mental health and addiction. And so she gives a lot of herself to others. She's brilliant, in my opinion.
And people just don't wake up and say, oh, I'm going to be a drug addict, or I'm going to be an alcoholic, or I'm going to be a prostitute. There's a story or something that happened in their life to get them to that point.
This podcast has been brought to you by Diversa, in partnership with Alberta Main Street, X-Ray FM, and the Numbers.fm. Diversa creates new worlds to bring forth a larger truth. For more information, go to diversaedu.com.